All right, developers, I'm back. So we are creating a Firebase app using Nuxt and using authentication with email and password. And last time I left off with you guys, we had gotten the login page look and feel working. We had all the libraries installed in Firebase, but now we need to connect the login to the Firebase so we can actually log in. But before we get too far, let's have another quick word from our sponsor. Hey guys, when you're building your own website, whether it's for yourself, your business, or a brand, one of the hardest things to do is to find that awesome domain name that is short, relevant, and shows the world what you're all about. Which is exactly why I went and got viewcourse.tech, which goes so seamlessly with my brand. I'm currently using it as a really great website platform for my new View course, and it's absolutely perfect. Join the likes of Viacom, Intel, and CES and get your very own .tech at a whopping 90% off on 1, 5, and 10-year domains using the link go.tech/Erik. It'll be in the description below. Only this Black Friday. The sale starts on the 26th of November, so you can pre-register now and get a further 10% off on the same day sale. So make sure you go to go.tech/Erik in the link in the description below. Pre-register and you can get an additional 10% off. Thanks. Okay, so here we are. Let's take a look at the node. Let's look at the app that we have built right now. And I have the login. Here's the look and feel, but we don't really do anything in this press. So I think the next thing we need to do is actually do something here. So I need to actually import Firebase from Firebase app. And then import Firebase auth. So now since we have that, we should be able to actually do something here. So I'm going to do Firebase, actually auth, and then that's going to go into the sign in with email and password, which it conveniently tells us what it is right here. And I'm going to use this .email and this .password. And I can await this, but I'm going to use then. And that'll get back a data object, which I want to make sure this works. So I'm going to do a console log, if you remember. Let's make this big, on data. And then I want to do a router, and I can do a push. And I'll just put inside here what I'm going to push to. So I believe just /secret. So that way, if it logs in correctly, it shows secret. However, we want to catch errors here. So if there's an error, then all we want to do is just do this .error equals error. So let's see if that works. So I'm just going to put some random stuff in here, hit login. Oops, no Firebase app default has been created. Call Firebase app initialize app. Okay, so there's obviously an error here. So one thing I totally forgot to do is I created, if you remember correctly, I went in and I created under the plugins this Firebase file, but I never actually added it in anywhere. So what you need to do is you have to go to the Nuxt config file, which is in the root right here. And you got to go to plugins, which is right here, and just add in the location. So I think we have to just put in /plugin/Firebase. I think that's right. Actually, we need to put the little squiggly line here. There we go. /plugin/Firebase, and we have to put the extension. So now that we do that, refresh the page, back to login, and I'm going to put some random stuff in. Oh, it still says no apps, no app. But what I think I need to do is stop and restart. So I'm going to stop the app. I have it running in my terminal down here. It's building again. Should just take a moment. Okay, it's built. Oops, I actually have a, I need to put an S here. Let's see if that works. Let's try it again. Maybe third time's the charm. Cool, I got an address. The email address is badly formatted. Okay. Okay, the user is no record responding to this identifier. Okay, so that's good. That means it's actually talking correctly. So now let's try our login. Now, like I said, we already have one user that we manually added. You can click add user and manually add it in here if you want to test along with me. Or like I said, I have a separate video where I actually created create a register user, but we're not going to do that here. So since we already have a user, I'm going to see if I can log in. So I'm going to do blah +123@gmail.com. I hit it, log in. Let's see here, cool. It went ahead and went to my secret info page, and it showed me the user down here in the console. So it looks like it's working. Sweet. Now we don't have any way to log out. So let's see if we can add that in. And I think the best way to do that right now, we could extract it into its own component, but I'm just going to add it in here. So I have a login and a log out, or log in, but I don't have a log out. So I'm going to put in, I'm just make a div tag right here, and I'm going to put class logout link. And I'm just going to call it logout. And what I want to do here is if someone clicks on it, I want to do the logout method. And I only want to show it if we're logged in. So there's a few things happening here. So now we don't have any script tag, but we could add it. So we're going to add in the script tag. Now it gives us the export default. So we need some data. We need to have this logged in. Now I'm going to set it to false, assuming that we're false. And then we're also going to have some methods. So we're going to add the methods. And we're going to have one called logout. And right now I'm just going to have an alert test. And I think that's it. Let's see here. Alright, so if I refresh it, I'm not going to see it because VF is logged in. So I'm going to put true. Just want to see if it looks okay. Cool. Alright, so I have my logout here. And I think I could probably... yeah, I won't... Let's see here. I'll put the login page after this. We'll leave it there like that. There we go. So we don't actually want to say login and log out and log in at the same time. We only want one to show. So we're going to put something in the mounted. So let's create a mounted hook. This is a view lifecycle hook that gets started as soon as the app loads. And from here we want to call. So I kind of went back and forth how I want to do this, but I'm going to create a setup Firebase a method here, and what this is going to do is we're going to check to see, we're going to set some variables if the user's logged in or logged out or not. So we're going to have to import star as Firebase from Firebase app, and then import Firebase auth like that. And now we can do this a way of checking to see if user logs in. So there's this, if you go Firebase auth.on auth state changed, what this gives us is anytime the user logs in or logs out, this will get fired, this callback will get fired. So then we can do things. So we could say if user, I'll console log logged in, and then we're going to what we're going to do is this dot logged in. There it is. And we're going to set that to true, and then else we're going to set this to false. Now the one thing we need to do is actually have a way to log out. So that's pretty easy. So we can just make another method here called, what did we call it? Logged out? Logged out? Logout. L-O-G-O-U-T. Logout. And then from here, Once again, we're going to use Firebase. We're going to use auth. We're going to use sign out. This one right here. And then we're going to use it then. And we're just going to take the router. And we're going to push. We can do replace, but push. And we're going to just go back to the route. Cool. So log out. We're logged out. Now, one thing I noticed is that login is still showing up. So might be better is we have this VF here. We can just do an else. So they don't both show up at the same time. And did that work? Oh, it's a VElse. VElse. There we go. And logout looks pretty ugly. We can try to make it look more like the other links. So, I don't know, we do a little bit of styling of it. Logout link. I mean, they don't really look great the way they are, but I'm gonna make a pointer so it looks like you can actually click it. I'm gonna add some text decoration, because why not? I'll make it underline. And then the color to match the other ones is 55188B. Yeah, that's it. So now it kind of looks like the other ones. So when you click on it, there it goes. But it says log out, and I'm already logged out, so I think I have this backwards here. I think we want the logout VF logged in, and then this VElse to log in will only be if logged in is not true. So let me see here. What do I have? So it shows log out, but I'm already logged out. So that would mean that the logged in is true. So I'm gonna set it to default to false. There we go. So now we do login here. I'm gonna put blah123@gmail.com. And I'll put my password. I'll click login. I think I put that wrong, and I knew I put it in wrong. Cool. Now it logs in, but it still shows login there. Did it say logged in? Oh, you know, I had this set up Firebase here, but I actually didn't run it. So I have this mounted hook. So now I need to run this dot setup Firebase. So it actually runs. Cool. Now I hit log out, log in. Oh, let's go the blah123@gmail.com. Cool. Now it says log out at the top. It goes log in. Perfect. All right. So let's get into more the nitty and gritty here. Is that we want this secret. We don't want anybody to access this secret route. We want it to only be accessed by people that are authenticated and logged in. But if you remember from Vue, there's actually this whole Vue router, and then inside Vue router you have this router before each that you can do, but we don't have that here. We don't have any router before each. So what do we want to do here? Well, what I would start with is we can actually look at the secrets, and we can do stuff in here so that way when someone tries to go to this route, before the component even loads, we can redirect them elsewhere. So how would we do that? Well, let's try the naive way. Let's try just the mounted hook. So if we have a mounted hook here, we can do things. Well, we can do things this will do it as soon as it's mounted on the page. Let's try created. We could do if, and now this is where we're gonna have to grab some more Firebase. So I'm gonna, rather than typing this out for the third time, I'm just gonna copy this and do the secret.vue and try to paste it. Let me try that again. I'm gonna copy it, paste it. There we go. And we need to put it right here. So we can do things like this. We can check to see if a user's logged in. And Typically, when you're dealing with users, we probably want to use something like Vuex. But for this example, we're not going to get into that complexity because we want to keep it simple. But we could do let user equals firebase.auth and then .current user. And this will tell us if the user is logged in or not. And so we can do if not user. Then we can do this .router.push and then bring them back to the login page. So let's see what happens when we do that. So if I hit secret, see it goes there for a second and then it goes back. So I don't know, you could still sort of see it for a second. Maybe if we didn't use, I think there's a before create. Let me see here, view lifecycle hooks. There's a bunch of them. Maybe we can pick one even before then. Let's see here. Mounted. There's mounted, updated, destroyed. Before create. Yeah, let's see if we try before create. But I don't know if that'll work. So if we do secret, it still does it. Don't get any errors, but oops, I need to turn that off. So, but still not perfect. You still see it for a second. So not the best solution. But one thing you have access to inside Nuxt is async data and middleware. And what async data is, and if you look at the async data in Nuxt, it has, you can see here, it tells you that basically it's rendered on the server side first, and then it's rendered on the client side. But you have access to this context object, so you can do all sorts of things with it. Like access the store. You can also look at the request headers, things like that. So let's try async data instead. So I'm going to put async data, and I want to grab, I can use destructuring. I'm going to add the request object and redirect. And if you're confused what these are, if you look at the async data in the official documentation, they have a data guide. In the API, it tells you all the different things that are in that context object. I think you can even search for it. Let's see here, context. Yeah, the context tells you like, here's everything in it. Like, here's the route, here's the store, redirect, app. So you can grab a bunch of this stuff from context. Okay, so we got that. So we can actually do this. This is a built-in function inside Nuxt to check to see if it's on the server. So you do process.server. And so when you refresh the page, it always first loads the server, and then it loads the routes, and then the whole app gets kind of loaded in the background. And then when you route from then on, it's just running on the client side. So we want to make sure on the first initial route that we check some things. So this is how we do it on the server. And then we have this else here, and I'm going to just, for right now, just comment all those out. So if you're not on the server, then we can do this. We can grab the user, and we can just kind of grab all this and uncomment it out. And then instead of using this .router.push, we just use redirect /login. So let's see what it looks like there. So if I click on the secret, so you can't even see it doing anything. It's doing it with async data before the component even routes, and it's not showing us anything. However, if we go and we do type in secret here, we still are able to get into it. You're probably thinking, why is that? That's because this is ran on the server side. The problem is that if we run it on the server here, we don't have access to the Firebase auth current user. Like, we can't tell if it's if the user is correct or not. So let's say we just took this and we commented all this out, and we just did this every time. So if I hit secret, it still works, but if I put in secret in here, you saw for a second, it actually loaded the route for a second and then moved it over. So, and you do run into issues where it's not going to work right. So let's let's also try to log in too. So if we do blah@gmail.com, see it did get into the secret info, but it's and if we refresh it, you see it didn't work. It didn't realize that the Firebase user was already logged in. You can see here it says log out, so we're definitely logged in, but it didn't realize we were logged in because this is always returning false. So that's why it's not working there. So we can click secret, but if we refresh it, it doesn't understand that we're actually logged in and it redirects to login. So we don't want that. So there is a way we can keep track on the server if a user's logged in or not. And I looked up this to find out what the best way is, and there's a few ways, but one way that seems kind of clever and I like it is to use cookies. So what we need to do is save the cookies. Every time the user is logged in or logged out, we're going to use this cookies to save it, save a cookie onto the system, and then we're going to use that. So let me see here. If I go into my application right now, I don't have any cookies listed. That's good. But let's see if we wanted to add cookies. So I'm going to go to my default.view, and this is where we're going to use that cookie library that we installed originally. And let me make sure I get this right. So this is import cookies from JS cookie. And now since we have these cookies, we can do all sorts of things. So in this user here, I can just save the cookie into storage. And to do that, I do cookies.set access token. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually save an access token. So to do that, you don't have to save the access token, but I think this is a clever way of doing it. So do firebase.auth current, and this will give us access to the token later on the server side if we ever need to do something with it. And we do get ID token. I think you have to pass true there. And then it's thenable. And we're going to grab the token. And now this is where we want to do our cookies.set. So what this is saying is if they're logged in, then we have this other auth callback where we get the ID token and then we set it to it. Now if they're not logged in, we're going to just remove it. And this is all done through the library we installed earlier, this cookies library. Okay, so let's see if that works. So right now, oh, see, it already says here, here's our access token. If we click logout, it remains. Let's see here if it disappears. Okay, there it goes. Let me make sure this is saved. Cookies.remove access token. So let me try it again. So I'm going to log in with my blah123@gmail.com. It's a completely fake login. It sets the access token. And if I log out, it gets rid of it. See, it's gone. Cool. So now we have a way on the server to see if we have a cookie logged in or not. And so now we can go back to our secrets. We'll go back to secrets. And this time we're going to do something different if it's on the server. Okay, so what we need to do now is make sure that since we're on the server, we need to check to see if the user's logged in or not. And we remember we did save those cookies inside the server, and it's actually going to be in that request. It's going to be in a request headers object. So I want to do what I want to do here is I'm going to create a new folder, a root folder here. I'm going to call it helpers, and in this helpers I'm going to add in some code to help us when we have a when we want to parse cookies. So I actually got this from a really neat Firebase Nuxt app. So I'll make sure I mention that inside the description below. But that's where I got this from. So I'm going to do cookie parser here. Parser. And I'm going to require it. So I'm going to go ahead and just fast forward through this so you don't have to watch all this. But basically this is me creating a library to a function to handle cookies. Okay, cool. I got my new get user from cookie. And now I'm going to go back to my secret. And now I should be able to look for that cookie in the server, and then if it's not there, redirect to login. So I'm a const user. I'm actually going to import it in first. Import, and it's called get user from cookie. And I could do @helpers because I put that in the root folder. I think helpers. And now I can do get user const user. I'll get user from cookie, and I'll pass in that request. And if it's not there, then I'll redirect to /login. I guess I can see what that user looks like. Cool. So now it seems like it's up to date. I'm gonna log back in for the 100th time. I got my secret info. Now if I refresh the page, it's still there. Cool. It didn't redirect us to login. And you can see here, this is what was in the Nuxt SSR, like all the information about this user. Perfect. So that's all I wanted to do today. I mean, it was a lot of work, but I like this way of grabbing the cookie, because this request object here has a headers and it has the cookies since we are using cookies. And I like that because if it's not there, then it only redirects if it's not there. So if I log out and I put /secret in here, and this will hit the server side, it just automatically goes back to login, doesn't show us anything. So cool. I want to hear what you guys think. Leave a comment below. Let me know. I really appreciate it. Thanks.